To be your judges, you should know who we are. I'm Les Volpe. I'm an attorney from Denver, Colorado. And my colleagues are?
I am Gus Chin. I'm a municipal judge for the cities of Holiday and Cottonwood Heights in the state of Utah.
Good afternoon. My name is Brit Krelmeyer. I'm originally from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a We the People alum. I'm currently a practicing attorney in Boise, Idaho.
And thank you for being part of this competition. Would the students introduce themselves, please?
I am Cade McElvain.
I'm Claire Studner.
I'm Alexandra Amestoy, and we are seniors from Laurel High School at Laurel, Montana, and we are representing Unit 5, and our teacher is Mr. Deming.
And our thanks to Mr. Demings for continuing to be involved in this program, even under these difficult circumstances. As you know, or probably know, the question we have for you today is question 2. And I'll read it to you. Richard Posner wrote that the American public worries more about invasions of privacy than about summary proceedings against suspected terrorists, curtailments of the freedom of speech of the law-abiding, or the right of the media to publish government secrets. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Why or why not? To what extent, if any, is privacy in jeopardy today? What protection, if any, do people have from privacy violations by governments or businesses? With the students, please proceed.
Privacy is a fundamental human right. It is vitally essential to the idea of autonomy and to the protection of human dignity. It also serves as a foundation upon which many other human rights are built. We as American citizens value our privacy greatly, especially in this modern age, with our most private information being easily accessible by our government. Richard Posner's quote states that Americans value our privacy over other very important issues. We believe this is true. However, this quote raises the argument of which of our natural rights do we care about more, freedom of expression or a right to privacy. Under a just government, neither of these rights would be infringed upon in any way. Yet we still find that our natural rights are undergoing direct violations from our government. The right to free expression is vitally important to a democratic republic in order to function as it should. But a person's private information is sacred and should never be infringed upon by anyone, especially our own government.
The right to privacy has been under much scrutiny through recent history, and to this day is controversial in deciding whether or not the government has the right to monitor and collect our private information. In 1974, Congress passed the Privacy Act, establishing a prevention of the federal government from disclosing any personal information of a citizen's life. Later, the Financial Monetization Act of 1999 required financial institutions to provide customers with a privacy policy, as well as safeguards that protect their information. Privacy is considered a basic right, upon which many other rights are built from. The right to free expression would not be the same if a right to privacy was non-existent. Without privacy, the concept of popular sovereignty is lost. A government cannot be legitimate if the natural rights of the people under such a government are infringed upon. The purpose of government is to serve private ends, including the preservation of life, liberty, and property.
Many Supreme Court cases have incorporated the issue of the right to privacy in their decisions. Cases such as Griswold v. Connecticut recognize that the Bill of Rights guarantees a zone of privacy. Other cases such as Roe v. Wade that establish the right to privacy as a fundamental right. U.S. Justice Louis Brandeis called the right to privacy the right to be left alone. This was 100 years ago, yet the privacy of the American people is constantly under scrutiny by the national government.
Immediately following the 9/11 terror attacks on the United States, the Bush administration instituted the Patriot Act in hope of protecting America from future terror attacks. We as American people were fine with this act at the time. However, years later, we realized how much of our right to privacy we gave up to obtain a little temporary safety. The Patriot Act directly violates the Fourth Amendment in allowing secret searches and trap and trace searches. However, this was not the end of the invasion of our privacy by the government. In 2007, the PRISM program was enacted. This program allowed the NSA to monitor and collect our private information from our internet providers. They collect and store our internet search histories, email content, file transfers, and live chats. This is an infringement upon our right to privacy. If the government wished to collect our personal information, they should follow their own principles of due process.
The right to privacy has been classified as a personal right. These personal rights provide for individual autonomy, including, among other rights, freedom of thought and conscience, privacy, and movement. Personal rights are considered God-given rights, or rights based on human nature. The purpose of government is to protect these rights. In the case Lawrence v. Texas, the court ruled that liberty protects the person from unwarranted government intrusions into a dwelling or other private places. This raises the question, does the internet qualify as a private place? We put some of our most private information on the internet, and we trust that it will be safe and secure. How is it any different from our own homes?
Privacy is vitally important to the American people. A government that violates our right to privacy would have no problem violating our other natural rights. The invasion of our privacy is yet another domino to fall in a long line of grievances committed by our national government. A quote by Barbara Tuchman is fitting to our current situation. Every successful revolution puts on in time the robe of the tyrant it has deposed. We are now ready for your questions.
Obviously, the Constitution begins with 3 words, we the people. How do we the people control the people we elect to our government, and therefore our government, to force them to protect our privacy in this, digital age? How do we do that?
So we as people elect our representatives, and we expect them to mirror our beliefs and our sacred rights and what we believe in. And for them to go behind our backs and invade our privacy is quite infringement of our natural rights.
And the fact that our government is supposed to protect us from foreign invaders or just things in general that could harm the public, it's quite chilling and unsettling that our government could invade our privacy, whether that's invasions into our personal homes, our personal information, or content on the internet.
And when we do elect our government officials, with that, we expect them to uphold our Constitution and to protect our rights. And
Given what you have said, as well as your opening remarks, if we are to consider the responsibility of government and our desire to have a secure nation in protecting us against domestic or foreign terrorism, shouldn't we be willing to give up some of that privacy or sacrifice some privacy rights for the common good and for that type of protection?
So I believe there's a quote by Benjamin Franklin that quite mirrors my personal belief. I cannot speak for my colleagues. Those who are willing to give up essential liberties for a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety and will probably lose both. Personally, I deeply believe in this, but I cannot, again, speak for my colleagues.
I do agree because, in my opinion, all of our rights are in a way intertwined and connected. And if we give up one right, then eventually it'll create a domino effect and we end up giving up many others.
And I believe if our privacy is taken away from us or infringed upon, then our right to believe whatever we want could also be taken away, and our free speech could be taken away as well, as along with many other rights.
So how do we find a balance though? Because we have to protect the common good. We have to protect our country from both domestic and foreign terrorist attacks while still maintaining privacy. So what kind of measures do you propose that we put in place to reach this equilibrium?
So in a national government, there must be trust between both the government and the citizens, and that is where popular sovereignty comes from. And so we must establish guidelines with the government that they will protect us while also leaving our natural rights where they should be and not violating them.
Do you believe our privacy is under greater threat from our government or from private companies that regulate our internet and other artificial intelligence? Are they stealing more of our information than even our government?
So I will go first. Many private, especially social media companies, do collect our private information, especially Facebook. They have been under many allegations of data mining. And although they do take that, the government is taking our private information from these private companies.
And the issue that comes with internet providers and social media companies is that a lot of people just mindlessly accept terms and conditions where that information is buried under pages and pages of legal terms. And so it's hard because no one wants to sort through all that, and so we end up mindlessly giving up that privacy.
And with new technology and different platforms of social media, people really put anything they want out there, and they don't really think of who will see it or who will take their information. And people are mindlessly putting out personal information, and companies and maybe even our government, they're taking advantage of that.
If ignorance of the law is not a defense, if we ignorantly choose to give out our information through social media, then should we not expect that there would be this sort of violations and the exchange of information that's taking place? What do we do about that?
So when we sign terms and agreements upon many internet and social media things, we do, in a way, give up our right to privacy to these national companies. However, they bury that fact under these massive documents of very fine print that it's hard, if you don't have a law degree, to actually understand what you're giving up.
Britt, you have another question.
How do we make people want to learn or know about what they're giving up? How do we incentivize them?
So I believe that we could educate people on the risks that they are taking by posting their private information on these social media and other websites, and exactly how much of our personal information can be collected by both these private corporations and by our national government.
Well timed. How about a round of applause for these students? I enjoyed your presentation. You obviously have spent a lot of time not only studying the law that is applicable, but also studying the practical implications for your lives. I have told other teams, and I will tell you, this is an issue for your generation to solve. You are the ones who have grown up in the digital era, in the era of metadata and that kind of thing. You're facing an invasion of your privacy, not only by your government, but also by these big companies, by foreign governments, interference with your elections, your ability to even control your own government. That's being interfered with. And we've got to do something about it, either through additional legislation or through lawsuits in the court, which are difficult and take a long time, or we have somehow got to bring these big companies into compliance with the right of privacy. Hard to do when they're making billions of dollars selling your private information. But we've got to find a way, and California has taken steps in that regard. The California Consumer Protection Act is something that we must look at and hopefully generate on a national level. I applaud you for your hard work. I applaud you for the knowledge that you have accumulated. Please take this knowledge forward into your future lives and also share it with your fellow citizens so that we as a society can figure out how to solve these very important problems for our basic constitutional society. I'll turn the rest of the comments over to my colleagues.
Thank you. I also commend you for your participation again. I also appreciate the approach you took and your strong defense of privacy rights. What will be interesting is to see where you take what you've presented today and how you apply it to your academic and other future professional endeavors. I commend you for standing up to those thoughts and ideas you have presented and for the way you responded to some of the questions, particularly with case authority and in addition with statutory provisions that demonstrates you certainly have a knowledge of the issue at risk here. I commend you for, again, to be mindful and to be civically engaged and change the future, be the game changers. Thank you. Good luck to you all. And thank you to your teacher coach.
I echo both Les and Gus's comments. Thank you for opting to participate in this format, for working hard and being diligent in your studies. We know that this entire pandemic has caused its own set of difficulties, whether it's been communicating via Zoom. So congrats for making it this far, for not losing your passion, for being diligent in your studies. And I have said this to the teams, we have been inspired and motivated and uplifted by your presentations, because I always will volunteer to judge both the state and national levels when I get invited, because it reminds me that we're going to be okay. If we have people like you that are out there researching and staying informed, I know that our country is going to figure it out. If my generation can't figure it out, I know you guys will. And I look forward to us problem solving together. Best of luck. I don't know if you're in your senior years or junior year. I'm sorry that 2020 has not been kind to you. I am asking for a refund. I will send my petition to you. Perhaps we can get a refund on 2020. I'm not sure. I'm writing my congressman on it. We're just going to redo 2020, right? Okay. Best of luck. And I'd like to also thank your professor, Mr. Deming, and we'd like to thank our moderator, Christine. She has been amazing throughout the last 2 days. So a round of applause for them as well.